All right, we're back and better than ever. Let's continue with the lab. What we've done now is, if you're on the lab procedures, I've walked you through making your sucrose solutions. I've walked you through what's really your most difficult graph. So what we've done here is, if we're looking at our lab procedures, is we've made our wonderful sucrose solutions in the first video. Then in activity 2, we've recorded all those densities, and when on the same graph, we plotted them. So basically, I just spent that entire first lecture doing step 15 of activity 2. Step 15 of activity 2. Once you've done step 15 of activity 2, in activity 2, you complete that data table 2. You use your graph that we did to complete data table 3. So we've completed data table 3 and 2, and we've made a graph, our first graph. We're not doing activity 3. We're then moving on to activity 4. In activity 4, the first thing you do is you use a graphing program and the data from that graph that we just made to create a scatter plot. This step is a little ambiguous. We're on activity 4, step 1. Activity 4, step 1, you're going to use the data from table 3. So we're talking about this data table right here to make a graph. And you're going to make a graph of percent sucrose on your y-axis and density on your x-axis. So let's go to our data sheet. And once again, you can do a little bit of cut and paste. And I am doing a little bit of time-lapse magic here. So I'm cutting and pasting that table 3 data into Excel. Make it look a little bit nicer here. All right, so I want to make my graph. I don't really need the information in this column to make my graph. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to make my graph. So I'm clicking into an empty cell. I want to insert. I want to do an XY scatter plot. I want to select data. I want to add, just like I did the last time. My X series is going to be my densities this time. So I'm taking the densities of those solutions. Then I'm going to take the percent sugar. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to clean things up a little bit here. I do want to add a chart title since they gave me one automatically. I'm going to say percent sugar versus density of solution. That's the title of my graph. I don't like that access. Let's do format access. I did automatic. Eesh. That creates an ugly graph. I want my graph to look a little bit nicer. You can leave it at 0 and leave it like this. I want to scoot it over just a little bit. So I'm going to change my minimum here to 0.2 and see if that cleans it up a little bit. In fact, I'm going to go to 0.4 and see if that clears it up a bit. That clears it up quite a bit. I'm going to go to 0.6. There we go. Whoa. What did I do? 0.8. There we go. All right, so that makes my graph a little bit neater there. If you don't reset those axis options, you'll have everything all squished up, but I wanted my line spread out a little bit better just to make it look pretty. Once again, I should add my title, my axis labels. Pardon me, it's been a while. Why don't you write down Donald Duck? My words are truly random today. I apologize. I didn't pre-plan a theme. I'm just looking around my office, and whatever I see pictures of, I am writing down. Yes, I have a picture of Donald Duck and a frog in my office. Don't question things. All right, I move on. Let's do axis, primary axis. So percent sucrose. And I want to add another chart axis. Axis labels, horizontal. Solution density. And you can get my formula for my line. So I want to add a trend line again. I want to make sure that I display my equation on the chart. Something that's really, really important here. Do not, let me repeat, do not set your intercept to 0. Pure water has a density. Do not set your intercept to 0. Let me repeat, do not set your intercept to 0 for this graph. You had to for the last one to get the right results, because when you had 0 volume, you obviously have 0 density. But when you have 0 sugar, you can still have density. Pure water has 0 sugar, and it still has a density of 1, correct? You made a 0% sucrose solution. Matter of fact, you can see it right there on your graph. So make sure that you do not set that intercept to 0. Capiche? Awesome. Okay. You want to write down that formula for a line, and let's see if there's a place to record it. No, but they want you to get your graph in your lab report. By the way, here's how to get your graphs in your lab report. If you click that graph title, now that you got the corner, all you have to do is click copy, left click, then click copy, go to Microsoft Word, left click again, and it'll give you these paste options, and paste, and ta-da, there's your graph. So there's, oh, and I pasted it in the wrong, no, I pasted it in the right place, yay me. All right, that's activity 4, step 1. Now in step 2, you're going to take that soda that you choose to use, and you're going to determine the mass of 5 milliliters of the soda, 10 milliliters of the soda, and 15 and 25 milliliters of the solution. And you're going to record it in data table 5, which is actually on the next page. They put it in a bad spot. See, there it is. And you're going to plot a graph of this. So you've got yet another graph to do, a third graph. So when I did it, this was my data here. You're going to do a third graph. And this time, just like for your first graph you did, you're going to plot volume on the x-axis and mass on the y-axis, and you're going to get the, like they show you here. Let me blow it up for you. And make sure you label this graph with the name of your soda, your mass, your volume. You're going to do your line of best fit. Make sure you set your intercept to 0 here. This time your intercept should be set to 0, and you want that density. The slope is the density of your soda. Okay. So you know that the density of your soda that you just collected is 1.0451. And you know that the formula for the line of percent sucrose versus density is what you got from your second graph that you did, this one right here. Because you plotted sucrose on your y, you can replace that y in that equation with percent sucrose. Density was our x, so we could replace that x with density. So we now have a mathematical relationship between the density of a solution and the percent sucrose in a substance. So we know the density of our soda here. So all we're going to do is we're going to come to this formula. We're going to replace the density here with that 1.045. Plug it into my plug it into our trusty and tried and true calculator, which appears to have grown legs, gained sentience, and gone out into the world all on its own without so much as leaving me a note. Oh, there it is. Hoo-yah. Yes, I move my lips when I work my calculator, for those of you who can see the video. 657. And that gives you 0. That gives you 0.124091. Remember, percents are a decimal, so we want to multiply that by 100 to get the actual percentage of sugar in our solution. So that means our solution is 12% sugar. Now that's because I put the term percents in my cell when I did this formula. If you just type those raw numbers, you won't have to multiply by 100. If you didn't put in the percents, let me go back to the spreadsheet here. If when you made this graph, if instead of doing 0%, 10%, if you had just typed in 0, if you just typed in 10, You wouldn't have to multiply by 100, FYI. Okay. And that gives you your percent of sucrose in your beverage. And that's it. That's how you do this lab. The lab execution is pretty easy. The graphing is probably the most rigorous you do all semester, maybe even more so than that graphing lab. And that's how you process the data. Beep.